Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Muhammad. This is Heavy Metal FPL, and in this video we're going to talk about 6 different attackers. So the reason for that is because the most common formations in the game right now should either be a 3-4-3 where you have 3 attackers, or a 3-5-2 where you've got 2 attackers. One of the slots in attack should hopefully be Holland, and the other 2 spots, the other 1 or 2 spots should be up for contention. So in this video, we're going to discuss all the options that we have available. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. One thing I want to mention before I get into the details of all these picks is just that there's 2 facts that we should keep in mind. The first thing is that we're going to get into December and the fixtures are going to start to pile up. So you want to look at the players who are rotation proof and are expected to get a lot of minutes. That's one thing. Second thing is that there's going to be a blank game week in game week 18. And so Man City are going to be away and Brentford are going to be away for that week. I'm going to start with an obvious one. Ollie Watkins here at 8.4 million, 6 goals and 8 assists in total for 80 FPL points. He's only second behind Holland out of all the strikers in the game. In his last game against Fulham, he got 1 goal. I think a lot of people only doubted him after that because he was one of the captain choices, and Salah and Holland got more than him. So I think other than that, he's still doing very, very well. He's only blanked 3 times this season. Only 3 times blanked, right? One was against Liverpool, which is a hard match anyway, Liverpool away. And he blanked against Luton at home, and he also blanked recently against Nottingham Forest away from home. So only 3 blanks out of 11 matches, right? His biggest haul in the season was, I think, where everyone started to get him into their teams, and that was when Aston Villa won 6-1 against Brighton, and he got 3 goals and 2 assists just in one game. I think that's the biggest haul of the season so far. Now, Aston Villa have some hard fixtures coming up, at least on paper. They've got Tottenham away, but I think that's not necessarily an easy fixture, but it's a high scoring fixture. Both teams like to attack a lot. Aston Villa like to attack. They have a high line, and same thing with Tottenham. You saw Tottenham against Chelsea. They kept playing with a high line even when they were 9 men, even when they were 2 players down and playing with 9 men. So I think it has big potential to have goals from both sides. And that's why I think if you've got Watkins, you definitely keep him in your team for Tottenham. Afterwards, they've got Bournemouth away, which is also another fixture that's easy on paper. Afterwards, they've got Man City and Arsenal, but both are at home, where Aston Villa have been great this season. So, it is hard, but it's still Aston Villa at home. They've got 23 goals in 6 games at home this season. Next, I want to talk about Alvarez because I think like a lot of people are starting to have some doubts about him because in the last game he only got 1 assist from the 4 goals that Man City scored, and he got taken off a bit early before the match ended. So there was that, and then in the 2 game weeks before that he blanked. But here's the thing about Alvarez, right? Like, what do we usually look for in FPL? We're trying to look for that Man City attacker because they've got the best attack. We're trying to find that Man City attacker who's always playing. And, we're always complaining about basically like Pep Roulette and all of that. And this season, we somehow have it. Like, we've got Alvarez, who has started every single game so far. Knock on wood. Hopefully he doesn't get benched soon. But he's not expected to be benched until Kevin De Bruyne comes back into the team. And that won't be until late December, around late December. So Alvarez, if I think he falls into the category of if you have him, then you keep him. If you don't have him, then you don't get into a rush to buy him. The reason for that is because they've got Liverpool at home next, and then they've got Tottenham at home, and then Aston Villa away. So both 3 hard fixtures on paper. Now, if you've got him in your team, I don't think you should be in a haste to sell him because while those fixtures are hard on paper, Man City, they can definitely defeat those teams. And all those games can be expected to have a lot of goals in them. So after Aston Villa away, Man City have Luton away and then Crystal Palace at home before that blank game week in 18. Then when they come back from that blank game week, they've got Everton away, then they've got Sheffield United at home. That's expected to be a double game week. So if you've got Alvarez, I think hold on to him for sure. And hold on for that. Basically, they've got these hard fixtures, which Man City might win and he might score, but then they've got easy fixtures afterwards. You hold on to him, maybe you sub him for game week 18. Then when he comes back, you keep him for the double game week and the easy fixtures that come afterwards. So I want to talk about a bit of a differential pick. Solanke here at 6.4 million, 6 goals in total and 1 assist. Some people are bringing him into their team because Bournemouth recently won 2-0 against Newcastle and he scored 2 goals. So Solanke is your differential pick. He starts every minute, and that's something, he started in every single game since the beginning of the season. That's one thing that's a big plus now with the big fixture pileup that's coming in December. That's something we ought to value a lot. So, and he's also expected to have penalties for Bournemouth, which is another big plus. Now look, Bournemouth only got 2 wins this season, right? They only got 2 wins in the entire season, but those 2 wins came in their last 3 matches. So they're showing a hint of good form coming up, and that's what you want to bank on. You want to bank on Bournemouth continuing that good form. And their next fixture is against Sheffield United away, which is one of the easiest in the Premier League. So if you want to bank on that, then and you want someone who's a bit different from the others, then Solanke is your pick. Next is Alexander Isak. So I initially had Callum Wilson for this pick, but Wilson, we got the news yesterday that he's been injured and he's going to be out for 6 weeks. So that, funnily enough, makes Isak a better pick as of now because he usually rotates with Wilson and they both compete for the same spot. So he's expected to slot into that center forward position for Newcastle, and Gordon is expected to go back to the left, playing as a left winger. Now, Isak's underlying statistics are good. He has an XG of 1 goal per 90 minutes, so expected to score 1 goal every 90 minutes when he does play. In his last match before he got injured, he played against West Ham and he got 2 goals in that and he got 13 points. So I'm keeping a close eye on Isak, and I think you should too. Newcastle's next 2 games are both at home against Chelsea and Man United. I'm going to keep an eye on whether he starts. Hopefully he's back from injury then. And I want to see how well he does because I think he has a lot of potential as an FPL pick. Next is Nicholas Jackson. So I want to get this out of the way first. He was one of the biggest traps of this season. And when earlier in the season, when basically like he scored 1 goal versus Luton in game week 3, and he started to look very promising, and Chelsea in general started to look very promising. But then he became basically one of the most frustrating FPL assets because he was missing a lot of chances. Chelsea were not doing very, very well, and in some cases he was getting rotated. So, but then he bounced back, right? Recently he's bounced back when Chelsea won 4-1 against Tottenham away. He scored a hat-trick in that one for 16 points. And in their last game against Man City, they drew 4-4 and he scored a goal in there. In their last 3 matches, he's played all 90 minutes, and Chelsea are sure to have a boost of confidence as a result of those 2 matches. It's no easy feat to win against Tottenham and then draw against Man City, right? But we're going to have to wait and see how Chelsea do against the small teams because they perform well against the big teams this season, but against the small teams, they seem to struggle. So I want to see how good they're going to be doing. Now, one thing to note about Nicholas Jackson is that Nkunku is expected to be back after the international break. So what does that mean for his minutes? We'll have to see. We'll have to see in the upcoming game weeks. Chelsea have 3 hard game weeks on paper at least, even though they seem to be the opposite of that when it comes to their hard fixtures. They've got Newcastle away, they've got Brighton at home, and then they've got Man United away. Right after that, between game week 16 all the way to game week 24, it's all easy fixtures, all green for Chelsea, barring one fixture against Liverpool away, and that's all the way in game week 22. So he's one to keep an eye on for sure, Nicholas Jackson. Last but not least, we've got Darwin Núñez from Liverpool at 7.5 million. So Darwin Núñez, in his last game, he got an assist. He started 4 out of the last 5 matches. His biggest hauls of the season were earlier in game week 3 against Newcastle. He came on for the last 15 minutes and he scored 2 goals for a total of 11 points. And recently in game week 10, when Liverpool played against Nottingham Forest at home, he got a goal and an assist and he got 10 points in total. Now, 4 out of the last 5 matches he started. I think he's a good pick if you don't take into account his minutes. I know he started 4 of the last 5 matches, but here's the fact about Liverpool. They play in a 4-3-3, So three attackers in the front, and on the right, a staple is Salah. He's nailed on. But then you have the center forward position and the left wing position, and there's four players who are competing for those. So you've got like Jota, you've got Diaz, you've got Gakpo, and you've got Nunes. So four players competing for two spots. That means there's a lot of potential for Nunes to be rotated, right? In addition to that, there's the international break ongoing right now, and Nunes plays in South America with Uruguay. So then he's going to come back, and Liverpool are going to have the early kickoff. They're going to have the early kickoff, so he might be tired, he might not be fit to play in that match, or he might be rotated. Who knows, right? And they're playing against Man City away, the hardest fixture in the league. So that's one thing to keep in mind. After that, they have easy fixtures. Liverpool, they continue their run of very good fixtures, with a hard one being thrown in every now and then. But I think Nunes, when he plays, is very, very good. But I don't think he's nailed on in that Liverpool lineup as of yet. And that's what makes me doubt him a little bit. Otherwise, he's a very good pick. And that wraps it up for this video, guys. It's a bit tricky when it comes to the attackers. Each one of them has their own caveats, whether it's like their fixtures, whether it's their rotations, or their form. But if you ask me which is the best out of all of those, I'd probably say Watkins. That being said, though, each of them has their own shout, and depending on how your team is structured, depending on how much budget you have, and depending on what you're looking for, I think each of them is a good shout in their own way. If you think I've missed someone, make sure to let me know in the comment box below. I'm gonna bounce for now, and I will talk to you all later.